what we're gonna do is kick things off with 2 minutes of cardio of your choice. So you guys can pick what you want here. What we're gonna do is actually mix 2 movements together. So we're gonna have jumping jacks for 30 reps, and then we're gonna move into burpees for 5 reps. And we're gonna alternate back and forth between those two for that 2 minute block. Once we clear that 2 minute block, we go into the next 3 minutes where each minute on the minute, you're gonna go through 10 running high knees, into 10 deadlifts, so that's with the single or double dumbbell, whichever you prefer. So coming down, standing up, and then moving into 10 bent over rows. So with that, all 3 of those movements have got to fit into the minute each minute, so don't pick anything excessively heavy. Remember, it's a warm up as well, so you want to make sure you're just giving that body time to loosen up. Good to go, Em?
Yep.
All right, so starting the timer in 10 seconds. Remember, 2 minutes of cardio of your choice. You can pick what you want, as long as it's nice and straightforward. It's going to get that heart rate up. And let's go for it. So 30 jumping jacks into 5 burpees. If you want to just follow along with what we're doing, this is a good couple of movements. Doesn't take any equipment, doesn't take too much space. As I said, if you want to throw in some shuttle runs, some running high knees, some skipping, whatever you want to do is cool, as long as it's continuous for those 2 minutes. So once she hits the 30 marker on these jumping jacks, she's going to go down to 5 burpees, going chest to ground and then up to a jump. So just starting off nice and slow, and then each time we go through this sequence, we're going to just ramp the speed up just a little bit each time. And that way, by the time we get to the end of this 5 minute block of warming up, we'll be ready to go for that build workout. Nice. So with the jumping jacks, guys, you'll notice the feet jump out and in, so it doesn't have to touch in the middle, but fairly close in the middle, and then just outside of shoulder width at the widest part. Hands are going to go from legs up to overhead. Keeping the arms nice and long as well. Try and maximize how much movement's happening at the shoulders. Okay, and then we go through the burpees. We're looking at rolling ourselves down flat to the ground, so chest fully touching the floor. We're going to jackknife those hips on the way back up. So notice she's not tucking the knees and bringing her legs through her arms. She's keeping the legs and the feet behind her arms and getting the hips nice and high. From there, she comes up to a nice upright position where she gets the hands to contact overhead. Okay, so 20 more seconds. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So into running high knees for 10, deadlifts for 10, bent over rows for 10. And we're going to do that each minute on the minute for the next 3 minutes. If you happen to finish that workload early, you'll get to rest the remainder of the minute. So with the deadlifts here, really important you keep your back nice and straight, guys. This can be a little challenging sometimes with the dumbbells. It generally ends up being a deeper kind of a position to that of, like, say, a barbell. So just make sure if you need to kind of cut the depth a bit, just so you keep that back straight, that's totally fine. Bent over rows, we're actually holding the bottom of that deadlift position and then moving the arms in and out, so squeezing the shoulder blades back together. All right, so 20 seconds till the next round. Ten seconds. All right, going in 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So with the running high knees, the target is to try and get your knees up around hip height. So we get a nice big hip movement. We move back to the deadlifts now. And you notice with this, Em's tipping the dumbbells front end down, so you don't have to go both heads to the ground like we would for, say, like a dumbbell snatch. So it just gives us a little bit more reach to get to the floor there. Stance is nice and narrow, and as I said, back's nice and straight with this one. Okay, so moving through the rows. With this one, our bottom marker will be below knee height, and then top marker is getting the wrists up outside of the ribs there. So you should feel like your elbows end up behind you. Okay, second lot of that down. We've got 1 more to go. 20 seconds till we hit it. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So by now you should be nice and warmed up, should be getting your brain switched on into gear, so you can start to kind of up the tempo a little bit if you want to. Get that heart rate nice and high, but still maintaining form. So you notice with the deadlift, and it'll be the same when we go into the row as well, she's got nice vertical shins, right? She's not letting those knees drift forward. She's keeping the hips pushed back and keeping those hamstrings wound up. Nice, all right, so we've still got about 20 or so seconds left in the round, so if you're still going, that's totally fine. Just keep working through it, get nice and warmed up, and then we'll push on after that. Last 10 seconds, so hopefully you're getting through the last of those bent over rows. 3, 2, 1, and time. All right, so that is the warm-up done, guys. Go and grab yourself a drink, and then we're gonna have a look at the build section next. Okay, so now that we're nice and warmed up, guys, we're gonna have a look at the build workout. How this one is gonna go is we've got a minute on, 30 seconds off, another minute on, 30 seconds off. So what we're gonna be doing in the first minute is 5 up downs. So jumping the feet out and then standing tall, and in remaining time out of that minute, we're doing max hang power cleans. So with your dumbbells or whatever weighted object you have, going from just above knee height up to that front rack position, sort of catching in like a half squat position. So we do that for a minute, we take a 30-second rest, we go into the next working minute, which is also gonna start with 5 up downs, so same movement again, and then we're going into max floor press. So that's laying on our back on the ground and pressing up to lockout. So very similar to bench press, slightly different obviously being on the floor. Okay, and then we follow that with another 30-second rest. So a little interval style, which means you need to work really, really hard when the timer is on. Know that you're gonna be getting a rest anyways, so try not to break up that minute at all the whole time. Good to go?
Yep. All
right, starting in 10. So we've got up, down, and hang power clean for this first minute. Going in 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So what we want to see in the bottom position of this, guys, is body at full length. So think like a nice strict push-up position. If you feel like you're still a little bit kind of jackknifed at the hips there, try to lower the hips in till we get that nice straight line through the body. We also want to watch that we don't go too low, so we don't want to be loose through those abs and drop the hips. And move into these hang power cleans now. So this is all about rapid hip extension. Even though the arms are moving quite a bit, all of the power and all the momentum is coming from the hips opening and us pulling up into that shrug. Now we're going to keep in mind we have that 30-second rest coming up in a moment, so you want to make sure that you're hanging on to these, just going for the longest set that you can. Try not to take any rest in there. Ten more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and resting. Okay, so 30 seconds here, just have a little bit of a move around, get some water in. We're gonna get ready for the second working minute, which is 5 up downs into floor press. Okay, 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So you notice Em's got nice active shoulders when she hits that push-up position. She's not kind of slumping into her body and everything's kind of dropping through. She's actually pressing the ground away, keeping everything switched on. You can now move to the floor press, so feet are planted, hips, shoulders, and head, everything stays on the floor. Sometimes it's tempting with this movement when you get tired to start bridging the hips off or peeling the shoulders off the ground or lifting your head up to try and sort of look through the middle. Keep everything flat, push your shoulders back into the ground, and that's gonna keep that shoulder joint in the strongest possible position. So we've got about 20 more seconds. Again, work as much as you can in this minute. Know that you've got that 30-second break coming up. Okay. 3, 2, 1, and resting. All right, so that's one cycle down, guys. We've got 2 more sets of that to get through. So we're gonna go back around to that first working minute, 5 up downs, max hang power cleans. Start that in about 20 seconds. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So if you find with the up downs, guys, you have a bit of trouble hitting the right marker, like getting that length in the body at the bottom, use a marker on the ground. If you want to put some tape down or line up a cushion next to the spot where your feet need to go, that way each time you're getting a consistent depth of that jump out position. So remember with this one, we want to have a little bit of a drop in underneath. It's not just a big bicep curl. We want to shrug and then actually pull ourselves down under the dumbbells. Rather than thinking about the idea of like pulling the weights upwards, we're going to shrug upwards, but then pull downwards to catch in that half squat position. And then standing tall to finish it off. 15 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and resting. Okay, so 30-second break again. Remember, grab a drink, have a move around. It's always good to try and flush out that lactic acid. And then we're going to push back to the second round there. So 5 up downs, max floor press. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. So we talked about the straight position at the bottom, guys. We also want to see a straight position at the top. It's one of the things that's quite easy for it to kind of fly out the window when you start trying to go quickly. We sort of shortcut that stand up. Make sure you're getting up nice and tall. So head, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, everything stacked in one straight line. When you move into this floor press, I mentioned before about kind of pushing your shoulders back into the ground. You'll notice that like a little bit of a natural arch in your low back starts to kind of lift up a little bit. That's okay as long as your hips aren't bridging with it. Have a little bit of flex there just to kind of angle the chest up. That's totally fine. 15 more seconds. From top view looking down, Em's got like a nice kind of sort of semi-neutral kind of position. So like a 45-degree angle of those dumbbells just allows for a nice comfortable pressing position. And resting. All right, so one more cycle through. I'm gonna take that rest. So we're gonna get back to the up downs and hang power cleans. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1, and go for it. Now, one of the things you can do with the up downs, guys, if you've got really tight hamstrings, you're finding that jackknife position that Em's doing quite difficult, split the feet out wider at the top. So you can make some space, allow yourself to get the hips a little bit higher, and that will just make for a smoother movement. So if we look at Em's feet right now, for the most part, she's staying pretty much on the same spot. Every now and then with that big explosive extension, we might have a little bit of a jump, a little bit of a disconnect from the ground. That's okay. If you do find yourself jumping the feet wider and wider and getting into this kind of awkwardly wide position, just take a moment to rein them back in. She's not having to do that because she's able to just kind of keep herself on the spot, but sometimes we'll have those feet jump really wide. So try to keep them in nice and narrow. We've got 10 more seconds. And resting. All right, we've got one last section, guys. The last minute is on the 5 up downs into max floor press. Ten seconds. 3, 2, 1, and let's go for it. So last set of up downs. Nice work, Em. Okay, so into the presses, so checking in, we've got those points of contact, feet, hips, shoulders, and head. Driving up to full lockout. Want to make sure that your elbows, or at the very least your triceps, are contacting the ground. And we're hitting a lockout at the top, but without overreaching the shoulders. We just want to lock the elbows, keep pushing the shoulders back into their sockets. 3, 2, 1, and done. All right, nice work, Em. So guys, that is the build section. Have a bit of a chill, get some water, and then we're gonna have a look at cooling down next. All right, guys, so now that the workout is done, we're gonna go through a little bit of mobility just to finish things off. The first drill we're gonna go through is a seated spinal twist. So Em's got one straight leg, one hooked over the top, and she's gonna bring her opposite arm around and then basically turn herself to look behind her. So I'm gonna chuck a timer on. We're gonna go 45 seconds each side. Now, what you wanna think about this is that left arm that's come over, it's almost like you're trying to reach for your opposite pocket and then turn as far around as you can. So use both your arms kind of as anchors to pull around. You also wanna think about trying to extend and get tall, right? It's very easy on this one to kind of slouch and dump into that low back and lose the stretch. The more I can kind of arch that back up, get nice and tall, it's gonna really get down into that glute nicely. So 15 more seconds on this. Try to breathe through the stretch as well. I know it can be uncomfortable at times, but try to just let yourself sort of relax into it. And switching sides. So now got right leg straight, left leg over the top. And again, anchoring with those arms, turning as far as you can and getting nice and tall. So think about from head to pelvis, stretching that out. And just hanging out there. So it's kind of going to feel like you're almost sort of kind of hugging the leg into the body. Fifteen seconds. Three, 2, 1. All right, now from there we're gonna move into an up dog stretch. So basically gonna go like a push-up position, but just letting the hips drop right down to the floor. So we'll go a minute on this one. So this is gonna be a really nice one after all the core work we've done, which is allowing ourselves to stretch right out. So arms is gonna stay locked out. Really thinking about like from ribs right down to your pelvis, loosening that up, trying to stretch that open. Now, if you happen to do this and feel like, oof, my low back doesn't quite like that, go down to forearms. That reduces it a little bit, but still gets that nice extension. Think about kind of lifting your head and digging your elbows into the ground. And again, think about from sort of rib cage to pelvis, that line kind of opening up a little bit. And if you want to, we'll go back up to that straight arm version there, Em. If you want to as well, you can do a little bit of rotation as well. So kind of going shoulder to shoulder. And just getting down the sides there, into those obliques, getting into all the intercostals in between the ribs, all that sort of stuff. And just breathing into the stretch, trying to expand that abdomen, stretch it out. And time. All right, so guys, if you have time, go through a couple more rounds of that mobility, loosen things up. Otherwise, well done. We'll catch you next time. That has been your Move Plus class.